let me introduce our celebrity guest for tonight. This gentleman is a real estate investor, of course, but he's also a best-selling author of Financial Freedom with Real Estate Investing. He's a speaker and leading authority on apartment investing in the United States. He's the CEO of Nighthawk Equity and host of the Financial Freedom with Real Estate Investing podcast. He's passionate about helping people become financially free in 1 to 3 years by investing in apartment building deals and raising money. Through his investing company, Nighthawk Equity, he controls, now listen, over $300 million worth in multifamily real estate. In addition to that, his own investing activities, guys, he's helped students purchase, now listen to this, over 40,000 units valued at $3.5 billion just through his training programs. What the heck? He's been interviewed by top real estate podcasts, including Bigger Pockets, Go Fearless from the Best Ever Show, Get Rich Education, Cashflow Ninjas, and many more. He's a contributor to Flip Nerd, Home Business Magazine, and his work has been featured in USA Today Magazine, MSN, Go Banking Rates, Home Business Magazine, and more. Man, I don't know. I could go and keep rambling on. This is absolutely amazing. But without further ado, guys, I'm extremely excited and pumped and honored to introduce to you to the multifamily freedom chasers community, the Mr. Michael Blank.
That's awesome, Marcel. Thank you so much.
What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, Marcel? What's going on?
What's up, Michael?
Hey,
How you doing?
And excited for you to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here as well. This is great. Awesome. Thank you for the intro.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I hope you're activated, pumped up.
I'm activated and pumped up. First I had my wine. Now that's empty. And now I have my coffee. So I'm good. I'm doing great.
I love it. And I see you wearing
What is
the
that
right
thing,
attire
Michael?
as well.
Say again, Marcel.
Freedom. You're wearing the right attire.
I'm wearing a Freedom, and I think Michael's showing. It's got a Nighthawk box. It's my wine my vineyard that I own, the Nighthawk brand.
He's smart. Very smart. See? Now you know.
I don't. That's a joke, but I should.
I love it, man. Hey, thanks for joining, Mike. You know, we're really excited to have you here. We always bring in powerhouses. And when I saw all the stuff that you're pumping out, I talked to Trevor and I said, we got to have Mike.
Of course, Trevor.
Matter of fact, right? Matter of fact, Victor is always using your analyzer. So at some point we're like, man, there's no reason.
That's right.
Exactly. But with that being said, Michael, we usually get started here with one very, very simple question. And that question is simply, who is Michael Blank?
Well, that's a really good question. How much time do you guys have? It's a complicated question, but I kind of have a background of most people, W-2 background, and I was on a mission for financial freedom, and I had a software IPO. I have a software background, which of course I threw away. But what the hell? And so I then put it in the restaurant business. I think your wife says, who has experience in the restaurant business? I was like, I do. I have many years in the restaurant business because that was my path to financial freedom. And I parlayed the software IPO millions into the restaurant industry. I'll make a long story very short. I subsequently lost all my software IPO millions in the restaurant debacle. And I kind of clawed myself out through real estate. And when you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's all about, real estate. And so I was like, well, shoot, flipping. Obviously, everybody flips a house. I mean, that's what you see on TV. That's what everybody does. So I clawed myself out of the restaurant debacle, having lost like a couple $1 million and added a $200,000 line of credit out of that by flipping houses. And then I got into apartment buildings. And the bad thing about flipping houses, that's very profitable. The equally bad thing is that's not very passive. And I was like, and I wasn't very clear about what I wanted in life. Clarity is very important, maybe as we'll discover later on. And I wasn't very clear about what I wanted. I thought I wanted to be a real estate investor. That's what Kiyosaki talks about, real estate. And so I flipped houses, and after being very successful about 2 or 3 years, flipping 3 dozen houses, it occurred to me, and I kind of got into an apartment building. It occurred to me that flipping houses wasn't very passive at all. Meanwhile, the apartment building, even though the first one I did was a freaking nightmare, but after it stabilized, it was kind of boring. Yet it sent me mailbox money, and I was like, my gosh, I really should do more mailbox money, even though the adrenaline it's much less exciting to have apartment buildings. And that's kind of when I pivoted into apartment buildings, and that's where kind of the mission developed, because from the time I quit my job in 2004 to I was in various stages of financial freedom along this time because of my software IPO. But the point is this: my pursuit of financial freedom took about, I would say 2000, took about 10, 12 years. So my pursuit of financial freedom was unbelievably bad. Okay, people often ask me, well, what did you do so I can follow you? It's like, no, you don't understand. You don't want to follow me. Okay, I am the example of what not to do. The reason what I do today is what I know not to do. And having worked with so many people, I know what to do right now. And in the depths of my sorrows of my restaurant business, I finally figured out that financial freedom, there's really only one way to get the financial freedom, and it's apartment buildings. It's not anything else. It's not software. It's not pizza. It's not negotiating short sales, not trading stock options, which are all the things I did. And it's not flipping houses. It's not wholesaling. It's not landlording. It's not the Burr method. There's really only one way, and that's apartments. And maybe that's what we'll talk about today. The problem with apartments, Marcel, is that people always say, oh, Michael, this is great. It's fantastic. But I don't have the money, and I certainly don't have the experience. And therefore, maybe I'll get to that in 10 or 20 years. And now those things are true. So maybe we'll kind of peel back the onions. So really right now, my really mission is financial freedom. Is how do you become financial free? And how do you do it with real estate? And it's with apartments.
That's fantastic, Michael. I want to go back to something that you said, and it was when you quit your job, right? And you went in the direction of multifamily real estate. I guess could you just walk us through your thought process there? As far as, I mean, you could have picked any avenue, right? But real estate was something that you dove into. Now, do you come from a real estate background? Do you have family members in real estate, or how did that even pop onto your radar initially to head in that direction?
Trevor, great question. I'm a born entrepreneur. However, I did not discover this until my early 30s. I had no idea. And this is because I was never surrounded by any entrepreneurs. My dad, as a lifer at IBM, he worked there for 35 years. And everyone around me had these jobs. Okay. So I didn't even know you could be, I didn't know there was a thing. Like literally, your imagination is limited by your own experience. And my imagination was limited by my own experience. And it didn't occur to me until I joined this software startup that I might be an entrepreneur. And so just to correct what you're saying, Trevor, when I quit my job, I did not get into multifamily. No. That was like step 5. Okay. I got into, well, here's the thing. So when you have a lot of money, you have options, which is what I love about having a lot of money. You have a lot of options. Okay. I had a lot of options at the time. I had like $2 million in the bank. Okay. A lot of options. Great. I walked home one day and I declared to my wife that I quit my job in pursuit of financial freedom. And she goes, what? What do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Maybe you should have maybe talked about this with me. Okay. I said, no, I understand. I read this book. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's fucking magical. Okay. You have to read this book. And so I want this financial freedom. And I felt like I had enough money, but I didn't have enough money to like sit on my asshole, for the rest of my life. And so, no, I did not get into real estate even. I got into restaurants. And the reason I got into restaurants because I don't know if you guys know Five Guys Burgers. Anyone know Five Guys Burgers? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, they're from Northern Virginia, which is where I was from. And so I knew I knew the founders and a lot of the franchisees, and they're like, oh yeah, you hire a guy and they run everything. And you just basically count the money. You're printing money out the back end. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to print money out that's what I want. And so I signed up, not with Five Guys Burgers, obviously, because the franchise rights were already sold I'd have to go to Minnesota or some other place, which I didn't want to go to. So I got another franchise restaurant. I did actually, I followed the concept. I hired a guy, really great guy, and got into the restaurant business in a pizza franchise. The problem is the recession, something that no one ever could foretell. Kind of like the shitstorm we're in right now. No one could tell that we're in this crisis right now. You can't pro forma this. You can't predict it. And so it really kind of crushed me. And so it wasn't real estate at all, Trevor. It was restaurants. And then when I finally realized my mistake, and I was like, oh gosh, I should have been real estate, I got into single family house investing, which is what most people do, in their fence. And that's what I did. Some real single family house investing of some sort, and it's typical the Burr method or flipping or wholesaling of some sort. And that's exactly what I did, because I didn't know any better. I didn't have anybody talking to my ear about getting into apartment buildings, because obviously, even if they did, I would have probably resisted them and said, look, that's not for me. I'll get to that in about 10 years.
10-4. So when you got into apartment buildings, Michael, what was your first deal like? How did you lock that thing in and get the momentum to kickstart your multifamily journey?
Yeah. So when I quit my job in 2004, because I had some runway, I am a learner. I am a learner just by nature, and therefore a teacher. One of the things I love more than anything else is teaching. And so when I quit my job, I wanted to learn everything about entrepreneurship. Everything. Okay. I read every book. Okay. There's really no podcast at the time, but I was reading every book, and I learned how to trade stocks and options. I took an actually commercial real estate class. And I hired a mentor to help me flip houses. And at one point I negotiated short sales as well. So I did all these things that I really wanted to learn. I really wanted to learn these things. So I knew about apartment buildings. In fact, in 2006, because of my commercial real estate boot camp, which wasn't very good, but it was just enough to make me dangerous. I started calling them brokers in Texas, and I'm living in Northern Virginia. It's 2006. And so I developed a syndicated deal analyzer during this time, because I was starting to analyze deals. And of course, I'm a computer science guy. So I developed a spreadsheet, and I was running these things through what was at the time of the SDA. And after about 150 deals of running through this analyzer, there was an 82 unit in College Station, Texas, and it was a smoking hot deal. And I knew it only because of the amount of deals I underwrote. At the time, though, I was opening my third restaurant, and I was like, "There's no way I can do all this crap. I gotta focus." All right, so I focused on the wrong thing. Okay, sue me. Okay, but the point is, my first deal didn't come till really 2011. I was starting flipping houses in 2009, and I was getting about half of my deals through wholesalers. And one of the wholesalers brought me a 12 unit in Washington, D.C. And I remember vaguely that some attorney I may have interviewed during the team building process told me not to buy crap in Washington, D.C. I was like, you're not an entrepreneur. What are you talking about? Like, come on, I'm trying to make stuff happen. So I bought this 12 unit in D.C. Big mistake. Okay, I did not realize the difference in legislation around tenant, pro landlord. Didn't understand it. Now I do. I didn't know that then. In DC, it turns out, as is apparently in California and New York and some other places, it's very simple, easy for the tenant to sue you for whatever reason they want. They go to the clerk's office to fill out a complaint that they can hand write out about anything they want. And the District of Columbia then will duly serve you 3 copies with registered mail. The envelope's about this thick. So I was getting sued by the same damn tenant every 6 weeks for the same or similar 12 complaints that they made up every single time. And I couldn't believe it. So I was in court all the time with this guy. It was so bad. I mean, he would call, like every time a contractor would come in swinging a hammer, he would call, the inspector. And of course, in DC, if you don't have a license for touching a screw or a bolt, you're in violation of $500. It got to a point where I got sued for like $25,000 by the District of Columbia, and I had a hearing. What is going on? It's like, I don't know what's going on. What is going on? I'm just trying to make stuff happen. I'm trying to make this building look better. Okay, it's a dump. Anyway, so this was a nightmare, and I immediately regretted my decision to get into multifamily. But having said that, I had the wrong property manager in that property, Well, that one was white and my tenants were not white. And I had the mismatch of property managers. And so once I realized that, things got a lot better and the things stabilized. And that's when the money started flowing a little bit more. But it was a rude awakening. I mean, it should not be everyone's first deal. Like everyone's first deal. Well, a little bit this way, you shouldn't lose your shirt or sleep as much as I did during that first deal, but I did. But I learned a lot in that one deal. In fact, looking in hindsight, nothing actually, that was my worst deal ever. Like that first deal was awful, but I did learn a lot, and it turned out well, like most multifamily deals do. Literally, I would say 98% of multifamily deals turn out well, given enough time. And that is actually very opportune for what we're talking about right now, is that, there's some bumpiness going on right now, but that deal turned out well. We, ended up doubling our money for our investors. But I was not prepared. This is the main lesson, Trevor, is I was not prepared for this deal. I did not have a mentor, or I did not have a coach. I had no one around me, because at the time I had money, right? And if you have money, you're a freaking genius. What help do you need when you have money? And I was not prepared for any of this stuff. It was pretty awful. And then, of course, as many things in your life that are awful, it turns out to be good in some way.
Exactly. It made you started taking action, right? Right. This is what people forget also, is you create problems, right? That's normal. I feel like every time you go into something for the first time, you somewhat create problems, and then you figure them out, right? You solve them, and then you learn, you can apply.
But here's Marcel, this is very perceptive, Marcel. And there's two kinds of people. There are action takers and there are more analytical types. Okay. And there's problems with both.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm an engineer, which makes me more analytical, but I'm, for some bizarre reason, also very action oriented. I can act with incomplete data, which an analytic cannot. Okay, the analytic has to have everything laid out. They have to have all their probabilities calculated. Okay, and so I need some of that, but not a lot. And so of the two types, here's the problem with both. Let me start with the analytical type. The analytical type is the worst of the two, in my opinion. The analytical type can never act because they're always analyzing. They're always considering the downside. That is very difficult to solve. It really is. You need to act. You need to stop listening to podcasts. You need to stop reading books, and you stop going to seminars. Okay? You need to freaking do something. That is, in my opinion, more difficult to overcome than the other extreme, which is the action taker. The action taker, which I am more on that side, is the action taker has a biggest problem with clarity. Because here's the thing, you're climbing up this ladder of success, whatever you think the ladder of success is. You're climbing up and you're like, boom, you're knocking things out, you're doing stuff, and you get to the top of the rung, you're like, yeah. And then you realize the ladder is up against the wrong wall. You're like, fuck, I've been wasting my years doing something that didn't matter. It's not where I wanted to be. And that's the problem with action takers, is they don't think long enough, right? So you want to be in the middle. You want to have a balance of two. So whatever side you find yourself on, you need to swing a little bit more to the middle. And so to me, the frustrating thing to me was I took a lot of action and I lost a lot of time and a lot of money because I took so much action. So that wasn't very wise. Okay. Why did I get in the restaurant business? I wasn't really clear about what I was getting into. Is the restaurant business recession resistant? Anyone? Class? Is it recession resistant? No, it's not recession resistant. Okay, I think about that. What could possibly go wrong in anything I do? Okay, now single family house investing, when you're flipping houses, is that very passive? No, it's not. Again, stupidity followed one by another because I wasn't very clear. I didn't take the time, because what a waste of time it is to sit there and meditate on something, right? What a waste of time to think about what you want in life. That's not productive. And so those are some of the mistakes I've made, is even though I'm an action taker, I did not take enough time to really think about what I want, what's important to me.
When did that shift, Michael? When did that shift? When were you able to yeah, not just take action, but be clear about what action to take and when?
This thing varies by person. Okay, it really does. For me, it happened in the depths of my misery of the restaurant business, which was, I would say, probably early 2013. In early 2013, and so I had gotten my first multifamily deal in 2011, but 2013, as I was doing my recap of my pizza business, I finally realized that I was losing money, a lot of money actually, and that I had to fire the guy that was running the entire. I had 6 restaurants at the time that I couldn't afford to pay him because I was losing so much money, and I could no longer afford to lose money. I had no more money left, and so I came to the realization that I had to fire him, and now I was running 6 restaurant businesses, and I put my heart and soul into it. And each of these restaurants were an hour away from me, each of them. So every morning I drove an hour to the restaurant, I met with my manager, I did a rah, we put all the measures, please the customer, do these things, and I would drive home, next day, drive to the next one, right? So 6 restaurants, 5 days in the business week, I was driving 6 days a week. And when did the clarity come? The clarity came when I finally started to slow down, when it got so bad, Marcel, that I had nothing more to lose. I was about to lose my house at the time. And so I did have a vacation house. Back in the IPO days, we built a vacation house in the Shenandoah Mountains, okay? And I bought this thing for $160,000. And then I immediately leveraged it to build a pizza restaurant, which of course now was in distress. So I had 2 mortgages. However, I had built a grove of a bamboo grove. I love bamboo. I don't know why. Maybe I was Chinese in a former life. I love bamboo. And so I was sitting a lot of time in the bamboo, reading the Bible, meditating, praying, and mostly angry at God for most of the time. And I was like, what the fuck? You put me in this situation. And you need to show up and get me out of the situation, because I can't. I've done everything I can, and I feel I'm pretty confident. And you have to show up. And he says, you know what? You need to share your story. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, your pursuit of financial freedom is right on, but you've had a lot of failures and a lot of successes. You need to share with people what has not worked and what has worked. And I was like, well, how do I share this thing? Oh, I know, blogging. So I started looking into blogging. Okay. And I was like, and I've started researching. I started following a bunch of bloggers. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. I have to put out a blog post and an email every single week for like years and grow my list. And then one day I can maybe monetize it and sell something and actually make a living. Okay. But I had a major problem. I was losing $10,000 a month, and I had like $200,000 left, and I was done. Okay. My problem was money, not like some future pie in the sky business. So I said, God, this is an awful business plan. Awful. And I did it anyway. And so I called up, Bigger Pockets, Brandon Turner at the time. I was like, Brandon, I'm a multifamily expert. I own 12 units. And I syndicated it, which is true. And he goes, okay, well, that's great. That's cool. We don't really have anybody talking about multifamily, but you're gonna have to blog every single week about it. I said, okay, great. So I have 151 blog posts on Bigger Pockets, which is exactly what I did. And that kind of put me on the map a little bit. And here's the thing. And so the long story short is my faith in God has increased substantially during this time. And while the business plan was bad, okay, within 12 months, just the educational side started generating money to the point where it was a 6-figure business. So that's where the SDA came about, and I created a course on apartment building investing. And while I am good, actually I'm very good, I'm not that good. There's really no way I can take credit for a 6-figure business in 12 months. And so it really grew my faith quite a bit through this process. But that's where the clarity came, and it was really forced, Marcel. And some people have to be forced to do certain things. Some people need to have a heart attack or cancer or something to pay attention to their health. And I needed a major setback to really say, I came to the point where I had nothing more to lose. Literally, I had already become comfortable with the fact that I was going to lose my house because I was running out of not only cash flow, but money. And then, so once you run out of money, the only thing you got left is debt. Okay. And I was about to run out of that. And so, yeah, it kind of forced clarity a little bit.
So Michael, I want to make sure I heard this right. So basically your situation, you were down in the dumps, you were in the pit, and you were like, God, what's the deal? And then God basically said, share your story, right? And would you say that was the seed that was planted that birthed into this amazing mentorship and just this mentoring that should be done for so many students to help them be successful? Would you say that's the case?
Yeah, though you're giving me too much credit, Trevor. You're making me look like too much of a visionary. It's not it's not like I sat there in the bamboo going, oh my gosh, I see the light. I see the kingdom, right? No. It's not like that. I do think I'm a visionary, but I'm not nearly that of a visionary. I can probably see a year in advance. Like I mean, that's not bad, a year in advance, maybe 3 if I'm lucky. But I'm really just trying to put one foot in front of the other. And so I've always criticized myself about the lack of visionary, and there's a lot more visionary people. There's no question. Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. These are truly visionary people who can see way past. And again, I told you before that my imagination is limited by an experience, and I think that's limiting to me. Is my own experience is limiting to me. So I do not have that vision. Honestly, I can probably see 3 years out. Some people, very few, can see 10 to 20 years out. But having said that, I do listen to the people around me, and I know what they want and what they need, and I will try to provide that for them. So this whole mentorship of programs and live events, and the whole Dealmaker blueprint, the Dealmaker journey from have your job to financial freedom to 1,000 units, that stuff has evolved. It's an evolution. It's not really a revolution, but it's an evolution, and that's okay. But again, I like everybody else on this call, I'm working on my limiting beliefs.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so we'd probably right there with you. I mean, Marcel's probably the most visionary out of all of us. I got a combination of visionary, integrator, action. My background is engineering, so like when you were speaking to me about being the analyzer, I was like, man, that's me. But that's why we have Marcel, the activator, Michael. There's a reason they call him the activator. He's our MB. He's the Freedom Chasers MB right here, activating everybody. But could you just speak really quickly about just the importance of mentorship, and if you could sprinkle in a little bit as well, what has made your mentoring so successful for your students? I mean, what was it? Hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of thousands of units your students have been able to purchase.
It's a lot of repetition. So what we found is that we've attracted a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life. And there's probably 2 kinds of people typically in the world. There's the Trevor, maybe like you, a little more analytical, a little more detail oriented, you're organized. Maybe you're slightly introverted. I don't know. Socially awkward. Okay, I don't know. Just kidding. Okay. But then there's the other side, right? Who are the more bigger picture relationship people, in the sight of a spreadsheet makes them break out in a cold sweat, right? Those are so 2 more extroverted. Okay. So you're like, I'm gravitating, maybe I have a little bit of both, but I'm gravitating here. Okay. So we attract both of those people, all of humanity we attract. And I thought that was interesting. And the reason that is the case is because in syndication, not so much multifamily, it's single family house investing, but multifamily syndication specifically, because it's a team sport, because it requires multiple personalities. It requires the deal finder and it requires the capital raiser. Those 2 people are vastly different. Now, I happen to be a little bit of both. Okay, maybe I'm blessed that way. Okay, great. I'm literally analytical and I'm super relational. Most people are not that way. And so in most syndications, you will find two partners, two joint venture partners, one focused on the deal finding, numbers, diligence, management, detail-oriented organization, and the other one, equally important, is the capital raising. And so having this repetition, bringing on these people, we have figured out what you've asked the question, what makes our program work so well? We're the only program that guarantees our results. So in other words, if you don't do your first syndication as a GP in the first year, we will continue working with you until you do. We're the only program that does that. And the reason is because we've figured it out. It's called a Dealmaker Blueprint. The Dealmaker Blueprint is literally something where we developed for literally week by week, month by month, what you need to be doing from wherever you are. We call it Dealmaker Journey. The Dealmaker Journey goes from where you are now, which has never done a deal before, to doing your first deal. Okay, if you want to do your first deal, what are you going to do in the first 90 days? What are you going to do for week 1, week 2, week 3? It's very specific. Now, once you do your first deal, you're like, woohoo, I did my first deal. The next milestone is, I need to quit my job. Okay, which most people do within 1 or 3 deals. A lot of people do it after their first deal because of the acquisition fee of the deal or the pipeline that they have. Okay, so the next milestone is financial freedom, but that doesn't end there. Okay, because no one ends at 3 deals. Like I'm financially free. Now what am I going to do? Sit on my beach for the rest of my life? How boring is that? No, you want to build a portfolio. You want to, and so the Dealmaker Journey goes all the way to 1,000 units. Once you're at 1,000 units, though, okay, once you get to 1,000 units, it becomes a matter of scale, and then as a matter of legacy. So really, what we're doing is along the Dealmaker Journey is we have programs geared at wherever you are to get you to the next level, and that's really what makes us so successful, is because we've done this so much. And I'm a systems person, Trevor, maybe like you are. I need to know 1, 2, 3. Like, what's the 3-step process? Okay, you're here, you want to go there. Okay, here you go. There's your process. And so I studied enough, and I was like, and I'm a natural teacher, so it kind of works. So wherever you are right now, hopefully our program, or what we do, is we'll get you to whatever that next level is.
And that's huge. And I know that's what a lot of people are seeking, right? Especially the W-2 people that have proven that they can produce quality work.
That's right.
They have proven in another industry that they are capable of solving high-level problems, but they see that there's a ceiling, right? It's for me, I'm in the automotive industry, and I see there's a ceiling, right? I can do as good as I want. Hey, Marcel, here you go. You get an 8% pay increase, and you get a promotion with twice the work. Amazing. Wow. Love it. Right. But now if you say, okay, I want to apply that somewhere else, but now, okay, what's the process? Do I really need to reinvent the wheel? It's already out there, right? Just give me the process. I can follow through. Give me the instructions. I'll make it work. I'm an action taker. I can follow through. And I know that's what a lot of people in our community exactly are seeking for as well. Right, Trevor?
100%, man. 100%. Yeah, Michael, I mean, you hit the nail on the head as far as, you've kind of told me exactly what I am. You're right. You're like describing me almost to a T. I'm a little bit of a rare bird, just like you, a kind of a combination of things that don't typically kind of you find in maybe one individual. But the thing is that's why I appreciate Marcel so much and Victor so much, is that they fill up my lack. And one of our sayings that we say is the team is our strength, because we're not holistic in ourselves. We rely on one another to execute. And plus, because we're just in the thick of life, so to speak. That's what we like to say. We have our W-2 jobs, multiple small children. We have our spouses, community involvement. We're in the thick of life, and leveraging each other's strengths and working together as a team is absolutely phenomenal. And I wanted to make one more quick comment, because, or maybe I should pass the ball to you, Marcel, but something that I really liked what you said, Michael. And this was a little bit, I think it was in the back of my head, but Marcel actually, it's one of those things when you explicitly say it, you're like, boom, that's it. And it's about financial freedom. And really, with financial freedom, you said, what are you going to do? You get X amount of units, you get financially free, and then go sit at a beach somewhere the rest of your life. That is not the case at all, right? Like, Marcel, can I pass the ball to you really quick and you just do your little spiel? Because I think because what Marcel's told me in the past, what he's about to say, Michael, and what you were alluding to with that comment is just like perfectly coalesces.
It's a great point. I always say it's a contradiction if you say I want to work hard right now to not work at all in whenever, right? So it's a contradiction because now you try to tell somebody, hey, I'm gonna work hard, real hard, and I'm getting my mindset in place to work hard, but really I only do it so I don't have to do what I'm actually trying to do, you know? And what we try to tell people also in the community is let's achieve financial freedom so you can spend it on what brings you meaning, purpose, and joy. Now that might mean you continue in your multifamily journey, right? And I know for many that is the case, but it might be something else. It might be an impact in the community, you know, be an impact in something else. Do something where the dollar figure is not what matters the most, right? And I feel like if you don't have that mindset straight, it's really tough to actually take consistent, massive action, right? Because what you're actually trying to do is do less by doing more. I know.
Well, that's exactly right. And you got to ask yourself, so why do you want to get into this business? And it's unraveling your why. Okay, it's unraveling your why because you want to quit your job. Okay, well, why do you want to quit your job? Well, it's not really that fulfilling. Okay, fine. Okay, so you want financial freedom. That's what you want. Okay, but why? Why is that important?
Yeah.
Imagine you had $10,000 a month just flowing in, and you don't. $10,000 that'll probably cover most people's expenses. I mean, you're not flying a jet, okay, with $10,000 a month, but it'll cover probably most people's living expenses. And so, why is financial freedom important to you? And and the answer to that varies by person, but you have to answer it for yourself. And the way you get to that point is you ask the question, why is that important? Okay, you want to quit your job. Okay, great. Why is that important? Well, I really don't like it. I don't really like being told what to do. Well, why is that important? Well, I'd like to I'd like to be able to control how I spend my time. Well, why is that important? Well, because if I could control my time, then I would do the things I like to do. Well, why is that important? And you're like, well, shoot. And then you start struggling at one point, and you start struggling with the answers because you've never thought about it because you're running so fast. You never really thought about it. That's a problem. You really need to think about it. Here's the thing about this business with multifamily, and some of you guys on this call know this. $10,000 a month is a foregone conclusion with multifamily. Okay, it's not if, it's when. The reason that people aren't successful in this business because they really haven't peeled back the onions enough to answer the question, why is that important? Because $10,000 a month is not a really good reason. It's not very strong. And you really need to know why you want to do certain things in life, what's really important to you. But fundamentally, financial freedom is important to allow you, Marcel, what you said, to do the things that you really want to do, to live a fulfilled life without regrets, whether it makes money or not. And the answer to that, it really varies very widely. Some people will start something out of the goodness of the heart. They'll start teaching people, and at the end of the day, make millions. That wasn't really the motivation. Other people start building schools in Africa and raise millions. Okay. The point is, what I've observed, the people we have helped become financial free. Here's what happens. Okay. The first deal is a big deal. The law of the first deal is very real. And then inevitably they will do the second and the third deal, and they become financial free. Once you do your first deal of any size, you will become financial free. It's so simple. It really is. You might not believe it, but that's just the way it is. I'm just telling you, that's what happens. And so once you become financial free, these people, they enter a state of confusion, because our lives are so caught up in what we do, specifically in our jobs. Now, there's a good mix of women and men on this call. Our business typically attracts the primary breadwinners of the family, and because they're trying to figure out how to extricate themselves out of their job, they're trying to figure out, how do I provide for my family, and how do I control my time? And they can't reconcile the two. And this is the problem, right? So we all kind of figure out, how do I solve this problem of controlling my time? And this is what this business allows you to do. And the truth is that when you do your first deal and you quit your job, you entered a state of confusion because your identity was wrapped up in your previous job. What you did, your primary purpose on earth was to provide for your family. Now, all of a sudden, it's gone. That's very unsettling. It's disturbing. And so a lot of people are very confused. They're home at 2:30 in the afternoon, and their spouse is like, what the hell are you doing here? Shouldn't you be you quit your job? And there's this state of confusion. And this goes on for a period of time. And all of a sudden, it creates this vacuum in their brain. My purpose on this earth was to provide for my family. All of a sudden, that's taken care of. Now, what is my purpose? I no longer have a purpose. What is my purpose? Holy cow. Now you're asking the real question. What is my purpose? I don't know what your purpose is, right? But now you have the capacity, the opportunity to really answer that question. And that purpose may or may not make money. And that's totally okay. And this is the power of financial freedom, is because you need to take care of finances to really live into your purpose. Look at every great person in the world that you can think of. Jesus of Nazareth had his expenses taken care of. He was financially free, right? I mean, think of every great saint in the world. Every saint you know, they have their expenses taken care of in some way. Someone's providing for their finances. And so if you had your finances taken care of, what would you do, right? Would you teach high school? Would you build schools? What would you do? Would you teach something, right? What would you do? And so in my simple mind, financial freedom is a two-step process to significance. Financial freedom, number one, significance, number two.
I love it. And that's what is so important, I think, before you even do anything, is to start having your baseline first. Like your step zero, almost, I would call it, right? What is your purpose? What is your why? Why do you do it? And then you can look at how and everything else, right? Because it will get tough. It is tough. And you need to remind yourself, why am I doing it? Great feedback, Michael. Absolutely amazing. I know everyone here is been enjoying that. I'm trying to take a look here at the chats on the side. What I love about our community is always these activities in the chat. Everyone is there. The engagement is there. I see. I'm so blown away. Ashley is always here on Sundays. I love it. Guys, real quick, let's throw some fires, activity icons in the chat just to showcase Michael here real quick, the appreciation, that we showcase him for being here, because obviously it's Sunday night, right? I'm sure, Michael, you have a family and people around you that also usually spend that time with you on Sunday nights. And usually around this time, we will go into a Q&A, but I would like to ask you one more question that might become a little bigger, I would say, because everyone cares to hear, especially from big players in the industry like yourself. What is your idea or your opinion of the current market, and where is it heading? What do you tell your students right now?
So it depends on where you are right now. It's an interesting, odd environment where if you currently own multifamily, you're playing defense. If you are looking to buy, you are playing offense. And like I said, normally this is not the case. But if you're playing defense, you're dealing with a variety of issues right now. Again, if you don't own anything, this is not relevant to you. It's only massive opportunity, which I'll talk about in a second. But if you have opportunity right now, type yes in the chat box if you have any kind of multifamily properties. All right. So a few of you guys, okay. And you know what I'm talking about. And and what I'm talking about is interest rates have gone up, and many of us have floating rate debt. We're dealing with that. And so that squeezes your cash flow. And if you have investors in the deal, then that reduces their cash flow distributions. Some of us now have floating rate debt, but we capped it. We were smart enough to cap it. We have an interest rate caps, and it was fantastic. Now those interest rate caps are starting to expire this year and next year and then the year after. And to renew those caps, you know, a cap that we bought for $27,000, which we thought was stupid, that same cap now costs 1.5 million to renew. Okay, well, no one put 1.5 million in their pro forma. I don't care how conservative you are. No one even knew what an interest rate cap was. It's like a black box. And so that's a problem. So if you're owning multifamily, you have a floating rate debt, you have a problem. If you have fixed rate debt, you don't have a problem. But if you're floating rate debt, that's a major problem. So what's happening right now, even if you're a good operator, we're a good operator, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a good operator, because you can't come up with $1.5 million. You don't have that money laying around. If you do, you're taking out your construction budget, which is bad because that money was supposed to be used to execute in the business plan. So what's happening is there's capital calls happening right now. Capital calls to the investors saying, oh, you invested $100,000. You know what? If you want your money back, you're gonna have to invest another $10,000 because we have to pay for the stupid interest rate cap. There's two kinds of operators. There are the good operators and the bad operators. I like to think we're the good operators. We're still in distress and doing capital calls because of the stupid interest rate cap. However, the not so good operators, it's not just the interest rate cap that's creating a problem, it's the interest rate hikes that's creating a problem. And those people are now in the red. Okay, so while we have reduced our distributions or stopped them entirely, there are a class of operators who not only stop the distributions, but they're losing money. That's bad. Coupled with the fact that they are dealing also with the same interest rate caps. So when they're like, oh, I need you guys to put in more money, the investors are going to go, no. Silicon Valley Bank, the reason they couldn't raise the money is because they sucked as a bank. And all the investors were like, oh, your balance sheet sucks. I'm not putting money in that. Go pound sand. And they went under. Okay. And it wasn't that the banking sector was fundamentally problematic. It was Silicon Valley Bank was unsound, and so the investors would want to invest. What I'm saying is and this is now we're getting into the opportunity part of the segment. There's going to be amazing opportunity because there's going to be operators who cannot get investors to invest in their capital call because they're already doing badly. They can't sell the business plan moving forward, and no investor would actually throw good money after bad. Those investors are going to have to sell for pennies on a dollar. They can't refinance. They can't extend their loans. Okay, and they can't do a capital call. The only way they can get out is to sell for pennies on a dollar, which is why there is a massive, resurgence in pref equity. Pref equity is this preferred equity thing, which is kind of like equity, but it's kind of like debt. And it's really there to bail operators out. And so you're seeing a lot of that happening right now. Pref equity coming in, and really what it is pref equity really takes out the limited partners, so LPs. That's really what they're going to do. They're going to bleed them dry. They're going to come in there and rescue. They're going to take out the GPs and the LPs. In fact, I'm thinking about creating a pref equity fund myself and being a shark. I love it. There's blood in the water. And you come in and you basically say, oh, I'm sorry you're struggling. We're going to come in here and take out your entire GP position. And by the way, LPs are going to take a 90% haircut. And we're going to make a staggering amount of money rescuing your dumb ass for not operating this properly and capitalizing it properly. And so that's what's happening. So if you're in the business looking for deals, you're going to see a lot of opportunity. So it's a very bizarre environment right now. When I'm saying bizarre is let's say I see opportunity. I see a distressed deal for pennies in a dollar. Okay. And now I'm going to reach out to my investors, okay, who have now been subject to one capital call, two capital calls, or three capital calls across multiple deals. I would say, oh, hey, by the way, we have this fantastic deal going on right now. Why don't you invest? And I go like, I don't think so, Michael. So I'm not sure how much money I can raise. Okay. Because on the one hand, I'm playing defense and I'm playing offense. And this is the challenge that we're in right now. So if you're in some of these deals yourself, you know what I'm talking about. You're trying to fix this problem and you're going to get an amazing amount of opportunities moving forward at the same time. It's a very strange environment.
Had to find the unmute button. That's exactly it. And I think we have both in our community. I feel like some that are in a deal, some that have a deal, but some that are really excited. And I know our deal is fixed debt, so we have a deal that we just need to operate, and we are really looking forward to pump out some offers. What is your timeline that you foresee where stuff is starting to get bloody?
It's already started now. We closed on a deal 3 weeks ago, which was already kind of the beginning of it a little bit. But I would say, summer onward. I would say from this summer for the next 24 months.
What does that mean? Get your ducks in a row, right?
It really is a great time to get your ducks in a row. I mean, really getting education, getting your investors straight. It's going to be a little bit like 2008. Where there's a lot of foreclosures, and in 2009, the retail market started to recover. That's when I got into house flipping, because you can get a foreclosure, buy for $80,000, put $30,000 into it, and sell it for $190,000. That's what's going to happen. And the cool thing about this entire thing is that the fundamentals of multifamily are strong as ever. In fact, they've never changed. In 2008, the fundamentals changed drastically, right? Because things were vastly overpriced because of the loans that we got. This is not the case at all. The only reason we're seeing this depression in multifamily is because of the rapid rise in interest rates, which has resulted in a lower loan to value of lenders. That's the only reason. The fundamentals are exactly the same. So once the lending market stabilizes, the prices will go back up to where they were. And that will happen once the interest rates start plateauing. Okay, they don't even need to go down. They just need to plateau. The rapid rise in interest rates has never happened in history, and it wigged out the lenders. Their volatility, the uncertainty, all this crap, all the derivatives and all they think to do, everything just kind of was, they crushed their loan to value. Once it plateaus and everybody understands, oh, we're going to be operating at 6%. Okay, I can wrap my head around that. The loan to values will start floating up again. Okay, and so we're going to be in a window of 12 to 18 months where we're going to be able to get into some really good deals that long term are amazing, because the fundamentals are unbelievably strong, unlike in 2008.
That's some great feedback. I haven't heard about that one yet. The plateauing. That makes a lot of sense, actually. A lot of sense. It's certainty also, right, for the banks, knowing what to deal and what to plan with. Excellent. All right, Michael, thank you. By the way, I've been told from your people that you go by MB. Is that right?
Internally, they call me MB. I don't know. Too many syllables.
I always struggle. Michael, MB. What am I gonna pick? What's gonna blurb out? What's your preferred call?
Oh, I don't know. Michael is fine.
Michael is fine. All right, Michael. Cool. Hey, we are about to we're about to be finished here. So let's real quick. We're already 9 minutes behind what we usually take for Q&A. We'd love to open it up here for the community, for the people on the call. Anyone that has questions, comments, and wants to jump on this opportunity of proximity, right in front of Michael here, please raise your hands. We're gonna unmute you for that and get you right in front of Michael. And I see first hand is up. That is Brooke. So let's make sure also, before I unmute you, Brooke, and everybody else that has a hand raised, We only got about a few minutes left, so let's make sure we limit everything to about 30 seconds question. And then Michael can take obviously as long as he wants to answer. What's up, Brooke?
Hey, how are you?
Amazing.
I didn't want
How
to
are
be
you?
on video because I didn't feel good, but it's okay. You get what you get.
That's it.
I just want to tell you guys that Michael is so fantastic. What he has not told you guys about is that he even has a monthly program as well that's $99 a month, and everybody contributes. Everybody is so fabulous. So in a world where all these masterminds are 30 grand here and 30 grand there, he provides massive level even at $100 a month. Like, you can't find somebody that has a more intimate group. So if you're really looking to close your first deal, definitely just get your foot in the door if money's an issue. And then when you have the money to pay him for the 12-month, sign up. He's probably one of the best guys out there. So I just want to give you a lot of props, Michael.
Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Amazing.
I'll let you go on to the next one.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing, Brooke. And I know, Michael, you also have a sheet that you want to share. We want to talk about that real quick. Let's go to a couple more questions, and then we bring your sheet up, because I know you have a gift for the community as well here, for showing up and rewarding them to show up here tonight. Hawk.
Hey, Michael Blank, how you doing, brother?
Hey,
Hey, man, good to finally meet you, man. I've been following for a while. You know, I already subscribed for the SDA, the syndicated deal analyzer. So had a question about that. So it's a great sheet. It's one of the industry standards for underwriting deals. I think one of the things I've seen in the community is that people who use the deal analyzer, they get kind of in the weeds, and they lose the essence of knowing how to napkin underwrite and know what the actual figures mean, know what it means to the investors. So how would you explain how to balance the understanding between using your deal analyzer, which is a great tool, versus knowing how to napkin underwrite deals?
you know, the About tab is magical, Michael. I don't even look at the About tab. The About tab and ask like 10 questions about the deal. That's really what counts. We have a Shark Tank panel at one of our boot camps where people can present their deals to the investors. And it's not really about the numbers. I mean, it sort of is. It's really about the story. And the About tab really asks the story around the deal. So if you have the SDA, look at the About tab. You're probably ignoring it like, oh, it's about the numbers. Really look at the About tab. If you bring a deal to me, I will ask those questions in the About tab, Michael.
Boom. All right, thanks, brother. Trying to be quick here. We got Will next. What's up, bro? Good to see you, man.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for having us, Michael. Really appreciate your time, man. When you're talking about the analyzers versus kind of action takers, I totally get that. My business partner here, Aldo and Cheddar, we're both in these red hats here. He's definitely the analyzer. I am for sure more that person. I'm just ready to get a deal done, man. So it's good to have that balance. But hey, my question, you're talking about the importance of mentorship. And so I wanted to ask you, what do you look for personally in a mentor?
That's a really good question. And I have never really appreciated mentorship. Every time I did not have a mentor, I lost vast amount of time and or money. And when I did have mentors, it accelerated the process. And so when I look for a mentor, I look for someone I align on a values basis, number one. Number two, I want to know that the person has done what I want to do. That's really important. And number three, I need them to be able to teach me some kind of system that makes sense to me that I can follow. This is why a lot of, for example, professional athletes make really bad coaches, because they're brilliant at what they do, but they can't teach it. They're so innate and natural, but they don't know what makes them so good. They can't teach you the same skill. And that's really the difference in a mentor, is they not only have done what you've done, they haven't just won a Super Bowl. They can break it down to you, and they can teach you what it takes to be a good player, right? And that's absolutely key. And in this particular case, the third component is a strong network. You really I mean, you really need to be breaking a network that gives you access to what you need. And what you really need is you need access to deals and you need access to capital. Those are only two things you need. So look for an environment, ecosystem that gives you access to that.
I see. Thank you, Michael. Michael, are you okay to do 2 more?
Sure, Marcel. Für dich,
All right.
was immer du willst.
I didn't know that you speak German, man.
Das ist meine erste Sprache, mein Gott. Ich bin Deutscher.
Ach was, wusste ich gar nicht.
Ich bin aus Stuttgart.
Nee, Schwabe.
Ja, natürlich.
Good to know. Berlin.
Ja, das habe ich gesehen. Auch nicht schlecht.
Wahrscheinlich.
Auch nicht schlecht.
Mensch, da müssen wir nochmal Follow-up machen drüber.
Also gut.
Also, Jerry.
I was Arabic, so I speak fluent Arabic.
Exactly. What's up, Jerry?
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, I appreciate this community and you guys being able to bring people like Michael on, and I appreciate your time on a Sunday evening coming on and pouring into a community like ours. And it means a lot having guys like you to be able to come on and pour into us. So, and I'm Jerry. I'm a commercial mortgage broker. And so, I think you're spot on with the, kind of your view of what's happening in the, over the next 12 to 24 months and all that as well. So, I appreciate you being on here. I don't want to take a lot of time. So,
Jerry is awesome. Jerry is our go-to debt broker in the community.
Nice, Jerry. Thank you so much.
yeah.
All righty. Let's do Bibi. I know you guys had your hands raised. David, we'll take your question offline, okay? And go from there. Bibi.
Hi, Michael. I'm really happy to see you because I remembered when I was looking for a community to join, I stumbled into your YouTube video, and what attracted me to you was your personality, not even what you were saying. I saw the humility, I saw the sincerity, and I saw you were really passionate about it. And that made me register for your mentorship class. That was sometime last year, and I will tell you that was one of the best decisions I made. I've been to other communities, but the Michael Blank community is the best. I wouldn't lie to you. If you want to learn underwriting, please go there. You will be very good. If you want sincerity, please go there. Thank you so much because you really created an impact in my life. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bibi. All right, that's it for the questions now. We're already 3 minutes over. Victor, why don't you share your screen? So, Michael Blank
Marcel, was gibt's?
Can talk about what he's got cooking for the community here tonight and what he can offer.
Yeah, there's a couple things, guys. As a next step, thank you, Marcel, for the opportunity here. If you're really interested and serious about, really committed to doing your first deal in financial freedom, I would love it for you guys to schedule a call with us. It's at themichaelblank.com/mentor. And it's just, it's a no obligation call. It's really what we call a clarity session to help you get clear on what's important in your life. And if we can help you get there, we'd be happy to do that. And that's at themichaelblank.com/mentor. So write that down and maybe schedule that for this coming week. And to bribe you guys, because apparently you guys know about the SDA. If you do that, regardless of whether you sign up or not, you get 50% off the syndicated deal analyzer. So if you want to do it yourself, that's totally fine. You get a 50% off. We don't actually ever offer that at all. But Rob, my guy, was like, "Yeah, you should give these guys a 50% off." I said, "Okay, that sounds pretty cool." So I would say if you're serious about it, go ahead and schedule that call. And that's only for freedom chasers. And the other thing is we do have a live event in a couple months, June 2nd to 4th in Dallas. And that is Dealmaker Live. And so you see a couple of discount codes there. It's very long and convoluted, very unfortunately. But if you want to go to that event and get discounts, then write those codes down. It's dealmakerliveevent.com. And then if there's a VIP, and then there's our general admission, you write those codes down, you get discounts off those tickets as well. So those are two great ways to maybe take the next step if you're not already in multifamily, or also if you are already multifamily. Like I told you before, it's not just for newbies, but it's also if you've done a handful of deals and you want to get to 1,000 units and beyond. We have programs now and masterminds and mentors who own upwards of 2,000 units that have agreed to work with people to get you to 1,000 units and above. So if you want one of those as well, then also use that same link and just identify yourself. Hey, by the way, I'm not a newbie. I've done 3 deals. I've raised $500,000, but man, I want to go to 5 million. What can you do for me? So just tell them so they don't waste your time with stuff. So those are 2 things I got. I appreciate it, Marcel. Thank you. Absolutely.
We have to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for pouring into the Freedom Chasers community, right? Thanks for making it out here. Like I said, Sunday evening is for many people, just like everyone here, lots of family time. So everyone, please share your sincerity towards Michael. And as you know, I always say this, I always do. Let's give him some love. Take out your phone, take out your phones, you know it, and take a quick picture, guys, which was what I am doing right now. And take a picture of the screen. And you know what you're going to do with that, right? You're going to go to your social media channel that you've been growing already, because people need to know you so people can flow you, I guess is what Grant says usually, right? But people need to know you, because if you want to ask, you want to create an investment for people, they need to know what you're doing. So do that. Go to your Instagram channel or wherever. Tag Michael in it. Showcase to your network how awesome it was that Michael took the time to come out here tonight. And if we're all lucky, Michael might reshare it so you get exposed to all the people that follow him. You never know, right? So do us a favor. Let's do that for Michael. I will do that right after the Zoom is done. And we get one step closer to get known and do something for Michael as well. Sound like a deal? Cool. Awesome.